You can download a whole movie to your phone in seconds, but that same phone still needs the better part of an hour to fully charge. Same device, and here is the strange part. The first 80% is quick. It is the last stretch that drags, so what is it waiting for? Here is the secret. Inside every battery there is a single invisible line. Stay on the safe side of it and you charge quickly without ever triggering the worst kind of failure. But push across it, and the battery starts coating itself with metallic lithium, a buildup that can grow into tiny spikes, short the cell out, or even catch fire. The smartest fast chargers spend their whole time racing right up to that line without crossing it. Most everyday chargers just play it safe and stay well back. Today, we go inside and watch a battery reach it. You have felt this line without knowing it. Plug in an electric car near empty, and it races from 10 to 80% in about half an hour. But that last 20% can take just as long as the first 80. Your phone does basically the same thing. Quick to 80, then a slow crawl to full. Your charger is not broken. It is being forced to slow down. So the real question is not why it is slow. It is, what is it afraid of? To find out, let's see what charging really is. A battery has two sides. When you charge, you push lithium ions out of one side, across an electrolyte in the middle, a liquid that lets ions through but blocks electrons, and into the other side, a block of graphite. And graphite is basically a parking garage, layer after layer after layer, with room to park lithium in between. Scientists have a fancy word for this, intercalation, but it is just parking. Charging is millions of ions driving in and finding a space. There is one rule. An ion can only park when an electron shows up at the very same spot at the same moment to keep it balanced. They always arrive as a pair, never one without the other. When the garage is empty, parking is easy and cars pour in fast. But what happens if you send them in faster than they can park? That is exactly what fast charging does. 3 things can overwhelm the garage: too much current, too much cold, or a garage that is already nearly full. Any of them, and ions reach the entrance faster than they can park, so they pile up, waiting with nowhere to go. In a real simulation, pushing hard nearly triples the crowd at the graphite surface, and the more they pile up, the harder it gets to squeeze the next one in until you reach a tipping point. Past it, it becomes easier for an ion to just dump itself onto the surface as metal than to find a space inside. Remember that invisible line? This is it. They cross the line. Instead of parking neatly inside the graphite, lithium starts building up as solid metal, plating onto the surface. This is lithium plating. At first it is rough and mossy, but under harsh conditions, it can grow into sharp, needle-like spikes called dendrites. And now there are 2 ways this can end badly. The needles can stab straight through the thin separator that keeps the 2 sides of the battery apart, a dead short, or the fresh metal, which is extremely reactive, starts eating away at the electrolyte and releasing heat. And that heat is a known trigger for thermal runaway, the kind of fire you have seen when a battery fails. So charge too hard, and you are not charging slowly. You are quietly building a hazard. So how does a charger stay on the safe side? Here is the trick. At the start, when the garage is wide open, it pushes in the maximum safe current and fills most of the way, often to around 80%. Engineers call this constant current the fast part, but as the battery fills, its own voltage climbs toward a ceiling it is not allowed to cross. So the gap the charger can push against keeps shrinking, and the current naturally falls. The charger just holds that ceiling voltage and lets the current fade, which happens to feed ions in gently, only as fast as they can safely park. That is constant voltage, the slow crawl to 100. So the slowdown after 80% is not a defect. It is the battery easing itself away from the line on purpose. So how fast can you safely go? Engineers measure charging speed in C. 1C fills the battery in 1 hour, 2C in 30 minutes, 6C would do it in 10. But the faster you push past a few C, the harder plating gets to avoid, and by around 6C, it is a serious problem for ordinary graphite. Watch 3 real charge curves from a simulated cell, half a C, 1C, and 2C. Double the current, and yes, you reach 80% much sooner. But look at the finish. The time to a full 100 barely budges because that slow, constant voltage tail just keeps getting longer. Past a point, more power buys you almost nothing but heat. But engineers still want to get closer to that line, so they use 3 honest tricks. First, heat. Cold is one of the biggest causes of plating because cold ions park slowly. So a smart car gently warms its battery before you even reach the charger. That is preconditioning. Second, better garages. Newer anodes like silicon graphite blends soak up lithium faster and at a safer voltage, so ions have less reason to pile up as metal. And third, smarter charging. Instead of one flat current, the charger steps it down in stages, and newer research packs can even sense the very first hint of plating and back off. They are not breaking the wall, they are carefully moving it. But does fast charging actually wreck your battery? Here is the honest and surprising answer. Years ago, an early Nissan Leaf, fast-charged twice a day through 2 years of Arizona heat, lost a bit more than slow charging, 27% of its capacity versus 23%. Scary. But that car had no active cooling at all. Fast forward to today. Studies of tens of thousands of modern electric cars find the gap has shrunk dramatically, and for well-cooled packs, like Tesla's, often to almost nothing. So the real deciding factor was never the fast charger. It was heat, and whether the car is built to control it. Still, speed is never completely free. Push a charge hard enough, too fast, too cold, or all the way to full, and a little lithium plates out as metal. When the battery rests, some of it finds its way back. But a fraction gets stranded, cut off as dead lithium, or locked into new surface film, and that part is gone for good. Every hard charge is a tiny withdrawal from your battery's life, which means the smartest upgrade is not a better charger. It is a better habit. 3 of them. 1, for everyday use, live between 20 and 80%. Only fill to 100 when you truly need the range. 2, warm the battery before a fast charge and never fast charge a freezing one. 3, try not to leave it sitting at 100% in the heat. These are not superstition. They are how you, personally, stay on the safe side of that same line. So, remember the invisible line? On one side, fast and safe. On the other, metal spikes and fire. During a fast charge, your charger works to keep the battery just shy of that line, pushing as hard as it safely can, then easing off as you fill up. It has been quietly protecting you this whole time. And now, you know exactly where the line is.